I could measure the pressures P1 and P2 and use them to estimate the flow rate. The good news is that now my device need not be very long, because I am encouraging flow separation. So, unlike the case of a Venturi meter, where I did not want the flow to separate and my diverging part was becoming a little bit longer, here there is no diverging part in the pipe as such. So, the fabrication is very simple. I just have to insert a plate with a hole. So, it is a very simple device, very easy to manufacture. However, the CD is low, the discharge coefficient is low. So, we saw in the case of Venturi meter it was about 0.95, somewhere more than 0.9. For this it would be low, maybe something like 0.6. Okay, as small as 0.6. In the case of an orifice meter, we have, so this is an orifice meter. And we have a huge loss. We could actually look at the case of a flow nozzle, wherein instead of putting these plates, which are vertical plates with sharp edges, I could actually make a small contour like a nozzle. So, I will just illustrate it to you with a small diagram. So, let me draw the pipe again. This is my pipe. And I could actually make this device as the following. So, the plates which were vertical and with sharp edges, they can actually become now curved plates, and this would be something called a flow nozzle. Okay. So, this has less flow separation compared to the orifice meter, and CD here is actually larger than that for the orifice meter. Okay. Of course, it would still be smaller than what you would see for a Venturi meter. So, we have all these options for measuring the flow rate. Venturi meter is very expensive and the orifice meter is the cheapest, and of course, the flow nozzle could be a good compromise in between. Next, we want to look at the pitot tube. This is a device to estimate the speed of the flow. So, let us see how it works. So, imagine there is a tube with a hole. So, this is a tube and it has a hole in between. And if I put it in a flow whose velocity is, let us say v, a uniform flow, and if I draw a streamline, maybe this streamline, so I will call this as 0.1, this as 0.2. So, I am drawing a streamline that is aligned with the axis of the pitot tube, and you will notice that the flow will come to rest at 2. Okay. So, flow comes to rest at 2 along the streamline. So, this is the streamline that I am tracking. Of course, there are other streamlines, and there are other streamlines, and so on. But there is one particular streamline or a set of streamlines where the flow actually comes to rest, and these are the ones I am interested in. So, if I apply the Bernoulli equation between 1 and 2, so let me apply the Bernoulli's equation. I am going to neglect the effect of gravity, okay, because I will assume that I am only looking at a horizontal plane. So, I have pressure at 1, okay, divided by rho, the velocity v1 square by 2. This should be equal to the velocity square at 2, which is 0, and this is simply p2 by rho. Okay. Because the flow has come to rest at 2, so 2 is referred to as the stagnation point. The name comes from the terminology that the flow has stagnated at point 2, and therefore, the pressure at point 2 is often denoted by P0, P0 implying that the flow has stagnated there, and it has several names. It is called as the total pressure, and sometimes it is also referred to as the stagnation pressure. So, from this equation I can see that P naught is actually P1 plus half rho V squared if I replace V1 as V, which is the free stream speed of the flow. Okay. So, this is the stagnation pressure. This is referred to as the static pressure of the flow. So, this is the pressure that exists at point 1, which is everywhere uniform in the free stream, and this quantity here is referred to as the dynamic pressure. So, we could say that the stagnation pressure is the static pressure and the dynamic pressure. Now, we could use this to evaluate V, which is simply twice of P naught minus P1 divided by rho times the square. So, I could take the pressure from point 1, take the pressure from point 2, feed that to a manometer just like we had done earlier for the venturimeter, and measuring the pressure difference, and by estimating rho by noting down the temperature and so on, and estimating rho from those values, we can now get a hang of what the speed is. There is another device which is called the Pitot-Static tube. Let me quickly show you what that is. Essentially, it is the same device as a Pitot tube, but then we also measure the static pressure along with it. So, we have two ports in it, one for measuring the stagnation pressure and the other for the static pressure. The device looks something like this. Okay, so, there is again a tube with a hole, and what is typically done is that you would make a hole in this, So, you can imagine that this port actually would measure. So, if I had a flow which is aligned with this hardware, then this point would measure the stagnation pressure. So, maybe I can color this a little bit. So, this would be stagnation pressure. Which is P naught. On the other hand, this here, the gap here would actually measure the static pressure. So, if I call this as 1 and I call this as 2, so P2 is the stagnation pressure and P1 here is the static pressure. I can again send them to a manometer and I could measure the height of the difference between the fluid columns and then estimate what is P2 minus P1, and thereby by using this formula I could estimate what is the velocity. So, using the Pitot-Static tube you are able to measure the static as well as the stagnation pressure together. Okay. Typically the hardware is such that, so typically the holes are of the diameter something like 0.5 mm and the tube outer diameter would be something like 1.5 mm. Okay. So, this internal diameter would be something like half a mm and so would be these holes, but then the entire diameter of this device is something like 1.5 mm. What you will notice is that it works only if the device is aligned with the flow. So, that is a little bit of a limitation. If I had a flow which was where I did not know the direction, for example, I want to measure the flow behind a building. Okay, so, I do not know what is the direction of the flow, and then if I use this device and I am careless, then I would end up measuring a wrong speed. Okay, so, that is a limitation of this. One can get around it by having probes with multiple holes, but those are beyond the scope of this course and you can read about them. There are many other devices that are used, okay, for measuring speeds and flow rates and for doing other kinds of experiments. Perhaps if we find time later in the course, we'll have a small discussion on them. So, we'll stop here as far as the Bernoulli equation is concerned. I tried to give you the derivation of the Bernoulli equation for a simple case and then some flow applications to the Venturi meter and the Pitot tube and some limitations of these devices. All right, thank you very much.